It's bloody freezing! Let's roll the intros. Currently, it's 3 degrees Celsius outside. But have you ever been outside in the big chill freeze of the temperature of 92 degrees below zero? Yes, guys, a couple of days ago, a news reporter, it's a female, I'm going to get the name in just a sec, believing she was from northern USA, I think New Jersey, or we'll find out in a sec, has been reporting, as we know, there's been a bomb cyclone across parts of Northern America, as we know that, it's happened several days ago, and she was out somewhere, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, throughout the weekend, of the current weather conditions, as she was in the wind chill. It wasn't the actual temperature, but the wind chill adding in with that biting northerly wind was 92 degrees below zero. Seriously, that can just kill you in just seconds. How would you survive that? We're going to find out right now. As you can see from the thumbnail in this video, her name is Jess Richwood. She briefly removed a thumb off her mitten to take a selfie near these conditions of minus 90 to minus 100 degrees below zero in the wind chill factor. Apparently, not surprisingly, her fingers grew numb immediately. Apparently, she said, when writing about bad weather in New England, my colleague Jess Bidrod and I, who both work in Times Boston Bureau, routinely check in with the meteorologist at the observatory atop Mount Washington, the highest point in Northeast known chiefly for bad weather in extremis. But even our eyes popped on Thursday nights, so there you go, didn't know whether it was the weekend or not, when we learned for the weekend forecast for the peak, parts of the White Mountains in New Hampshire, so it wasn't New Jersey, it was New Hampshire, I didn't read it much, the wind chill from minus 90 to minus 100, that's not a typo. With the wind chill so astonishingly low, at a time when half the country was locked in a deep, well this is in America, in a deep Arctic freeze, Mount Washington was likely to be the coldest place in the lower 48s, or low to mid to even high 40s below zero. We sent word to our editors in New York who insanely wanted us to head for the summit and tell them what minus 100 degrees actually feels like. As Mark Lacey, the natural editor, described the assessment, it makes me shiver. Yeah, right, that's no surprise. By dawn, we had rented a Ford Expedition, basically. Our own cars having been snowed in, we stocked it with Granda bars, water tissues, Vaseline, so basically to prevent chapped lips, and pencils. Pens don't work in the cold, and we headed north. So then basically, friends who knew of our plans, thought we were nuts, and I have to agree, you were nuts to do it in this silly day you were doing. You could have got yourself killed. This sounds like the parody of a newspaper assignment, said one. Can't you write this from the basement in your pyjamas, texted another. Bit lazy, but at least it's more safer. Ivoli, we were both outfitted in the standard winter grab of New Englanders, multiple layers, boots, ski pants, mittens, warmer than gloves, neck warmers, and puffy coats, with windproof hoods. Construction work going on, so I have to just speak up. Winter sports enthusiasts still will know one item missing, which we did fully appropriate until it was too late. More than that in a minute. The main thing is, the drive took more than 4 hours, with visibility decreasing as we inched our way over freshly snow-covered roads through the White Mountain National Forest. In the wind-gripped snow and fog, it was impossible to make out the granitic rock faces that we knew from previous trips were right in front of us. So by noon, we had not yet arrived, but our editors wanted to feed live material from our reporting trip, so they could put online right away. So we called up Mike Carman, senior meteorologist at the Mountaintop Observatory, and interviewed him over the car's Bluetooth as I drove him, and Jess took notes on her laptop. The bigger task was preparing the editors for the fact that we would not be able to summit Mount Washington 6,288 treacherous feet above sea level. The only people who get up there after the road closes in October, we learned, are those who, like Mr. Carman, that works in the observatory, and they don't exactly communicate. Transported in a specialised vehicle that looks like a big tank, they stay an entire week before being voted out for another hardy crew. But a snow coach for tourists does make the trip at least part way, weather permitting. We were thrilled to hear that, even with winds gusting, listen to this, 122 miles per hour beyond hurricane force. The snow coach, a spider-like vehicle with triangular treads instead of tyres, would be operating. So on this trip, the snow coach would reach 3,900 feet, yes, you heard me, 3,900 feet. The driver, Dexter Rust, who has been trekking up Mount Washington for almost 2 decades, said that howling winds, drifting snow, and lack of visibility would prevent us from getting higher. It was high enough, basically. We felt the extreme weather the minute we tried opening the doors of the snow coach. The wind almost smacked them shut, forcing us to act like football players, leaning in to push them open with our shoulders. Breathing felt dangerous. Yeah, right, that's no surprise. Nothing could have prepared us for what lay outside the cozy van. Imagine plunging into a cold lake, then lifting your head out of the water only to have your eyes pelted by a continuous hail of tiny needles. Imagine that. Any moisture on your face freezes almost instantly, coating your eyeballs with a layer of ice that prevents you from blinking. Your eyelashes may even stick together. Just note to self. Next time, bring that all-important item that they forgot. Goggles. Yeah, right. I believe that. Communicating was a challenge. To beyond the occasional, "Oh my God!" you had to shout to be heard above the winds. But you have nothing intelligent to say. Google, through my mind, was a recent Natural Geographic article quoting a doctor who noted that bitterly frigid temperatures can cause mental confusion. Hence the saying, cold makes you dumb. Yeah, you were dumb doing that. So at the moment, the editors, sitting in their warm offices, sent a text, they needed another feed. I lurched like the Michelin Man back into the snow coach and dictated some observations over my cell phone to Jack Healy, the Times Denver bureau chief. He would spin my utterances into a coherent narrative that could go up online right away, with adding reporting by Alan Blider in Atlanta and John Schwarzenegger in New York. Meanwhile, Jess continued to experience the joys of icy air blasting her face, which was not entirely wrapped up. Bloody hell. She struggled to take notes while wearing mittens, scrawling absurd phrases with barely legible words like eyes, ache, legs, and ice. And then, finally, she slipped off one mitten to take an 8-second video and a selfie. Her fingertips went numb almost immediately. She replaced the mitten, but by then the cold had prevented her boots and 2 pairs of socks, leaving her toes numb. We closed out our adventure wondering if we'd really been at the coldest place in the continental United States. Dan and lastly, Dan Peterson, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service Weather Prediction Centre, told us on Saturday that in terms of actual mercury readings, 2 towns in Minnesota, Cotton, and the interestingly named Inverness, have had readings of minus 39 degrees. Mount Washington's lowest temperature had been minus 36. We felt deflated until he added that when the wind was factored in, Mount Washington had been colder by far than anywhere else, with sustained winds above 70 miles per hour near hurricane force. The temperature on Mount Washington had plunged to an almost unfavourable minus 92 degrees, just as forecast. Chilly Willy, the meteorologist, deadpanned. Areas of a certain regional rivalry when it comes to which parts of the country can better withstand hardship. We checked in with folks in Inverness to see what they thought of the deep chill we had experienced on Mount Washington. That's impressive for that area, allowed Breda Willis with a cashier at the Trampoline liquor shop. But around here, it's pretty common, she added. There would probably be a nice day around here. So there you go. That's the incredible story. The news reporter going out to Mount Washington in a wind chill above 70 miles per hour of minus 90 to minus 100 degrees. So that may have been a risky, potentially stupid thing to do, but also very brave. So I respect you for that. So, did you like that little story? See, it's 3 degrees Celsius, there's no wind chill. Believe me, if I was there in Mount Washington in just seconds, I'd probably pass out. So, they were just so prepared for this. Alright, that is it for this interesting video. Again, apologies for the soaring, but there's some construction work going on nearby. But you heard me clearly. There truly can be incredible things in this world. There's a lot of things happening on at the moment. I'll keep posted on that. Tomorrow there will be the first of the year, the UK weekly weather from last Monday to last Sunday. So it's just a summary weekly now instead of a monthly, so that'll be good news to hear. And as I said, if you want me to do any more, like as usual, Extreme UK weather events, global weather forecasting, weather vlogging, or any other stuff, comment below. Take care, guys. I'm going to get wrapped up and warm. And the storm is now out.